What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm here to do a review of The Chi. This is season 4, episode 1. I know I'm late on this, but don't hate me for it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So we actually start this episode off with Try a Little Tenderness playing in the background. You have Kevin running around some empty, look like a hotel space. I don't know where he was. And he ends up saying Gemma kiss Jake, which I'm just like, I hate this storyline because I just don't want it for them. I like the boys as friends. We also see that his sister is having the baby. Duda gets shot. Like, there's all these things that are supposed to be happening in the future. And then we go back 1 month later. We see Kevin, he's waking up. I'm already knowing he is not in his own bed. Oh, where is he? He is at Gemma's house. Here's my only thing about this situation. I do sometimes feel like the writers give Kevin and Jake and Papa these adult situations that they may not be in all the time. And I get it. Teenagers are wild. Teenagers do all types of things. But the fact that he jumped out the window, then pretended like he was coming to get her, and her dad knew about it. I just did not feel like that was very realistic. Like, I definitely feel like, considering how her dad was last season, I would think that he would say something to her, or at least to Kevin, to be like, yeah, I saw what you did. Be a little bit more slick next time. But whatever. So Kevin comes over. Gemma and her dad are having this conversation about some young teenagers who set something on fire. And in the conversation, all I learned was that Gemma's dad, he low-key with the cops, and we don't support him. I'm sorry. We just don't. Oh, actually, there's one quick scene that I wanted to mention because I always give a side eye to Kevin's mom because she's literally walking around her house, which I feel like they moved into a new spot or something because that don't look like the same house that they were in before. Anyways, they're in the house. She's asking Keisha, who is very pregnant, where is Kevin at? And she's like, oh, he probably at Gemma's or whatever. And the fact that she's nonchalant about it, I'm just like, here you go again, not being a parent for your children. I felt like she was a terrible parent last season and the season before that. And I still feel like she is a piss poor parent because how is it that Kevin is still running the street as if Kevin is grown? Kevin is not. Kevin is what, maybe 17 or so now? I don't know how old these kids are at this point, considering this is season 4. But my point is that I feel like when it comes to being an actual parent and knowing where your kids are or knowing what your kids are doing, his mom has no clue, no idea whatsoever. We saw how she knew nothing about her daughter when she got kidnapped. So I'm like, here we go again. You not knowing anything about your child. And I get it. With him being 17, he's almost 18. He's almost out the house. But I just feel like she has learned nothing from what she has experienced with her daughter. And that's just it. Point blank, period. So we move on to see a scene from Smokey's. You already know that's Emmett's restaurant, which I still gave a side eye to because I don't know how he paid for it and just got it right under Sonny. The way he did Sonny was dirty, and I'm still holding on to that. It is what it is. So there's a TV on, and they're talking about is Otis Perry really, a good guy or is he a bad guy? I'm trying to figure out how is it that the news and media is just catching on to the fact that Otis Perry is a gang member. He out here doing all this other sneaky stuff. Just ask a few of the old heads in the neighborhood. They know who he is. I'm kind of confused as to why we got him into office to be mayor and this is just now coming up. But you know what? I did not write this. So we do see some customers talk about how there's a chance that Brandon, he may be a witness protection. We already know they're not bringing Brandon back, even though his character is definitely missed for this series. So we see that Papa is now working at Smokey's. I'm like, okay, you're no longer working at the pizza joint. Great. And he's trying to figure out when is he gonna get employee of the month. And you already know Emmett's like, we don't do that here. Of course y'all don't. Y'all only got about 4 people who work here. So next thing you know, Darnell shows up, and I can't lie, I love Darnell's character. I really do. This old uncle who's still on the Bluetooth, love it. Come to find out though, he's dating Dom. And I'm like, is it that weird considering she slept with the son and the daddy? All right, Lori Harvey. Oh, actually, let me rewind back a little bit. I just forgot that Tiffany actually showed up before his dad did. So Tiffany shows up whenever. She looked really good. She looked really cute. Whenever she chopped it up with Emmett for a little bit, they flirted, of course, because, they're married. And she goes to see Dom. And he's still worried that Dom is going to say something about, those two hooking up, because he has not told Tiff at all. But Tiff goes over there because she wants Dom to start making like some type of weed edibles for her, like putting weed in food. And I'm just like, how much of a weed head are you? Because her reasoning is because her plug ran out. And I'm like, well, can't they just make more at some point? Should they have more shipments coming in of the edibles? I'm so confused with this situation because her reasoning for getting Dom to do this does not make sense. Like, girl, you can wait a couple of days. You'll be fine. But anyways, Emmett ends up coming in there trying to figure out what they're talking about because y'all know he's super paranoid. And of course, they shoo him away because they ain't thinking about him. Now, one thing that has always annoyed me about Dom and her cooking is that why is she always cooking things that take hours to make? Like, I feel like she's doing like some type of like ribs or something. And I'm just like, girl, how long you gonna be cooking those? Like, this ain't no quick food. Like, I feel like the whole time that she was making all this soul food last season, I'm like, why are you making all the meals that, like, take forever to make? Couldn't you just throw some wings on? Couldn't you just do maybe some pans of mac and cheese or something? Why are you doing ribs and collard greens and all this? Like, girl, make it easy on yourself. So, anyways, we get a scene of Imani, Trig, and Jake. They are at, like, I guess a part of their house. I have no idea where this is. But Imani's cutting somebody's hair, and some guy comes in. I don't know what that man's problem was. I don't know if he, like, special needs or what was happening there. Because all I know is that he wanted to earn whatever he was going to get from Trig. And he ends up taking a broom from Jake, and he starts sweeping around. One thing that stood out to me was that you have someone getting their haircut from Imani, and I'm just not sure how many guys really go to female barbers. This is no diss to Imani. I'm just not sure of how many guys who actually go to female barbers. So Jake is on his way out to school. We learned he's really good in biology, so clearly he is starting to like going to school because y'all know he hated when he transferred to school last season. And next thing you know, here comes Otis Perry. Here comes Duda. And when he's there, Trig is like, oh, gangsta or mayor. And I'm like, first of all, dudes, you already knew who you was dealing with. And Otis was like, so since when did you watch the news? And he was like, since I started working with you. And he said, listen, you don't work with me. You work for me. I said, oh, here we go. He had to set you straight. He had to set you straight, boy. So Trig says that he's going to take Jake to school or whatever. The one thing about that scene was that Imani's acting. And this has no offense, because I think that Imani has potential. But I just feel like when she was like, I love you, have a good day at school, I'm like, I'm going to need you to perk that up. I need you to not be so drab. So, Otis is just like, if you need anything, basically let him know. And Imani's like, you know what, we got it from here. So at this point, this is when Darnell actually shows up to Emmett's restaurant. And he over here on the phone with somebody talking about he gonna be there in 15 minutes, and he over here trying to get a plate of food. So Dom, she ends up coming out and kissing him, and of course Emmett is over it, because who wants to see Dom and his dad date? Who would want to see that? So then we flash over to Keisha and Tiff. You know, they are now good friends, and Tiff is trying to help Keisha find something to wear so that she can meet the possible adoptive parents to her baby that she's carrying. Now, guys, I absolutely hate this storyline for Keisha. I actually wanted her to get the abortion because I wanted her to go off to college. I did not want her to have this baby. I feel like she's probably going to keep it in the end. So I just wanted more for her. But let me go ahead and jump back over to Dom and Darnell. So they're over getting all touchy-feely in the kitchen. Next thing you know, she leans against the wall and is like, I have something to tell you. So Darnell's like, well, what do you have to tell me? She's like, oh, I messed around with Emmett. And I'm like, first of all, you said that as if it just recently happened. But Darnell was cool with it, and I feel like he already knew about it. Because remember, I feel like last season, didn't Emmett tell Darnell about him messing around with Dom? And it was basically him waiting on Dom to tell him what happened between the two. So that's why he was really cool with it. I was just surprised that was where she wanted to tell him. Like, this is the place where you want to tell him that you was messing around with his son in his son's restaurant? Okay, girl. So that does not stop Darnell from going to, throw this in Emmett's face. That now he knows and Dom told him. And how is it that he has not told Tiff yet? So Darnell ends up leaving when Emmett's mom shows up. All I knew was that I hated her hair in this scene. Like, the whole episode, her hair was in this hairstyle. And it's a terrible hairstyle. I hated it. So we end up going back to Jake and Kevin. They're actually with Gemma. They're walking around in the snow. So now we already know that it's wintertime for sure. And they're talking about how they don't like a teacher and how she's very performative with her wokeness. And you have Jake and Gemma, they're on the same page as far as this teacher goes. And Kevin is like, nah, she cool or whatever. So Gemma is like, no, I want you to basically be on my side or whatever. And I'm just like, girl, y'all gonna have disagreements. Chill out. I'm sorry, but I do not like Gemma's character. I hate her hairstyle. I feel like they could definitely do something different with it. Like, I don't know, it's just something about her being this so pro-wokeness that I'm just like, girl, okay, when are you going to be a teenager? When are you going to worry about, I don't know what teenager, doing a TikTok dance or something. I don't know. Do something, girl. So, in this moment, though, we find out that Kevin loves Gemma. He tells her that he loves her. Jake is like, I ain't gonna ever tell no woman that. I'm just like, okay, you're saying this now. So Kevin and Jake, they're actually going to head off to play a basketball game. And Gemma wants Kevin to go with her to some pro-black group that she got going on. And he's like, no, I'm just going to go to this basketball game, but I'll pretty much catch up with you later. Whatever, cool. Alright, so we next get a scene of Otis Perry and Candy Burris, because that's all I can see in this scene is Candy. So they end up going to see Tracy. And of course, she has that women's group for all the ladies who have lost their children in Chicago. When it came to I think it was violence or something like that. So Otis is basically trying to get on her good side. I don't know what he's trying to use her for, but we already know he's trying to use her for something. And she's not really feeling him like that. But he ends up inviting her to something that he was having with some other community leaders. And he ends up leaving her and Candy there together. So next thing you know, we have back to Kevin and Jake. They are on the train. Jake is over here changing his complete outfit because he is not trying to wear this uniform in public, but Kevin was okay with it. Alright, so cool. They get off the train, and this scene pissed me off so much because they end up getting into it with some boy who I feel like he's the guy who used to bother them like 2 seasons ago, but I can't remember what that guy looked like. So anyway, they're going back and forth. He all up in Jake's face or whatever. And then once they start to like kind of break it up and walk off from each other, here comes the police. Now y'all asses was sitting there the whole time and watching this whole incident happen, but then you over here questioning Jake, talking about some, we need to see your ID, we need to see your ID. And Jake, being the young guy that he is, and the way that he's been raised, he's like, nah, I ain't about to show y'all nothing. Next thing you know, Jake is over getting his ass beat by the police officers. Kevin is trying to help, but he don't know what to do. So he's like, trying to get down on the ground. He's trying to like reach for his ID. They pull out the gun and everything. I'm just like, oh my God, like this is a lot. Honestly, I did not need this in episode 1. I feel like we've gone through enough in everyday life that I did not need this to be in episode 1. This could have been like episode 5. So as all this is happening, keep in mind there was a whole crowd of kids out there. Okay, so all these kids are out there, they're like yelling for him to stop, stop, stop. You have Maisha, she got her phone out, she's recording the whole thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this escalated so quickly, unnecessarily. Like it really pisses me off because it just, even though this is a TV show, this is really how cops are. Like, they do not de-escalate anything. If anything, they escalate it to the 10th degree. So they ended up arresting Jake. And I was just like, oh my gosh, look at that poor baby's face. Alright, so enough of that scene because I want to get real worked up about it. We end up going to see Keisha. And her and her mom, they go see the possible adoptive parents, who happen to be the Tabitha Brown. As we all know who she is. She is a viral sensation. She is playing the wife. I don't know who the guy is that's playing the husband. Doesn't matter. So, they're basically putting on a front because they are not together. You can tell that they have some serious issues in this marriage, and they probably have been separated for a while now. Keisha, she picks up on it right away because she's like, are y'all good? And they're just like, let's go talk outside. And I was like, here we go. There's a chance that this couple is not going to get this baby because Keisha has some type of expectations for what she wants her child's future environment to be. But here's the thing, because once you put that baby up for adoption, baby girl, that is no longer your child. Because the fact that she went on about how, I was a child of, some divorced parents and I don't want that for my child, you don't know what the future is going to hold, because you may find a family and they seem so perfect, and a year later, after they get the baby, they can get a divorce. So how would you know that? Because I'm pretty sure, unless this is like an open adoption, because I don't see it being that, how would you know? Like, I just feel like that's such to me, a childish mindset. But then I have to remember, Keisha is only supposed to be like 18 years old. Alright, so we actually jump back to Papa, Maisha, and Kevin. They're at Smokey's, and Maisha wants to know what should she do with the video because she recorded the whole thing. And Papa says that they should go ahead and post it. And Kevin is like, no, you need to delete it because Jake don't want nobody to see him get beat up by the cops. So he ends up storming out. And Papa just says, like, listen, sometimes we'll get in trouble. This can be good trouble. And you should post it. Y'all, then we get a scene of Kevin becoming Ronnie 2.0. I said, what is this? Not Kevin out here drinking the liquor out the paper bag. Oh no. This is a little too hard of a life for me to see. So he out here drinking liquor out the paper bag. He out here getting high. I promise he done smoked about 4-5 blunts just from this one scene that we got here. I'm like, oh, my man is doing bad. I need him to get it together. So next thing you know, y'all, we see Imani and Trig or whatever. They at home. He like, where is Jake at? Because that game been over. So Jake ends up calling him. But the only thing that he said is Jake. Everything else was him breathing on the phone. I said, Jake, why are you just breathing on the phone? I need for him to know where you are. You're stressing me out. So we have 3 people who I didn't realize were friends having dinner, which was Dre, Jada, and what's her name, Tracy. I'm just like, yeah, okay. They're having dinner at some fancy place. They're encouraging Tracy to go ahead and get this money from Otis Perry because he arrives there with Candy. And then we cut to the movie night that Emmett, Tiff, Darnell, and Dom were having, or whatever. And Dom, she has made these edibles or whatever. Everybody has taken them. I'm just like, girl, I don't know why you did that, because now Emmett is going to be even more paranoid. I can't lie though, I did fall out laughing when Darnell came strolling in there with that VCR and a VHS tape. I'm like, sir, I need for you to at least make it to the year 2010. I need for you to at least make it to 2010. Okay, so then we jump back to this scene with Tracy, Otis, and Candy. And first of all, let me just talk about how Jada's little young tender, he done sent her a drink or whatever, because I guess he works at this fancy restaurant. And I'm just like, oh, so he's still around. Okay, girl. So when it comes to Otis and Tracy or whatever, they're sitting there having this conversation. He's talking about how he loves what she's doing, her organization and all this stuff. Next thing you know, he gets a call. We already know that it's about Jake. So he ends up having to leave. And Candy peeps game that Tracy is into her man, so she's like, I don't mind sharing. I said, wait a second. Are we about to get a scene with Candy and Tracy? Because that I'd be interested in. Just saying. Alright, so we finally see Trig. He arrives to the hospital. Jake is handcuffed to the bed. And next thing you know, here comes Otis Perry. And he's like, no, y'all need to uncuff him or whatever. Trig wants... he wants blood, basically. He wants to know whoever that officer was, he wants him dead. And, of course, now that Otis is the mayor, he has to handle things a bit differently. But he does say that, this situation will be handled. So we then see Keisha. She's talking to her mom and she's talking to Dre about how she wants her baby to have this environment and all this stuff or whatever when her child grows up or whatever. And they're just like, girl, once you get that baby up, that is no longer your child. Relax. And next thing you know, Kevin comes strolling in. I feel like Kevin should have came strolling in a little bit more toe up than what he strolled in like. Because baby boy been drinking that brown, okay? He been getting high. I feel like he should have barely made it into the door. But, whatever. He comes strolling in or whatever. They're like, what's going on with you? And he's like, the police. So now they are concerned. I'm like, see, maybe if you was a bit more concerned like Trig was a few hours ago, when he was like, where is Jake at? Because, Nina is never, ever knowing where her kids is. So when Kevin goes up to his room, she comes in and her response was, do you want to talk about it? I'm like, your child just came home. He's clearly out of it. And your response is, do you want to talk about it after he said it was the police? Considering you know that you live in Chicago? No. See, my response would be totally different. It would be like, what happened? What is going on? I'm sorry, Kevin would have to talk. The way that her kids walk around and don't tell her anything, I'm just like, girl, you know nothing, again, about your child. There is no way that Kevin should have been able to bottle this up like he does everything else. Every other traumatic thing that this child has been through, he has bottled it up. He needs to go see a damn therapist ASAP. I'm sorry, but they just really stress me out when it comes to Kevin's character. So after that, we ended up flashing back over to the movie night. They're watching Soul Food. And, of course, they're watching the scene where Terry is, going off about how her family messed around with her husband. And Emmett is paranoid. He high. He is feeling some type of way because he has yet to tell Tiff. And we already know at some point he gonna have to tell her soon. So after that, the two ladies, they're having a conversation at the kitchen table because both of their boyfriends are knocked out asleep, or should I say the boyfriend and a husband are knocked out asleep. And, they just kind of appreciate each other because now they're friends. And one thing that's threw me off was when Dom was like, yeah, this whole edible thing, that might be the new side hustle. Girl, why can't you just cook food and let that just be it. Why would you try to double task talking about you about to cook food at the restaurant and you about to be slinging edibles on the side, you and Tiff? I cannot. This storyline doing too much. Because where is Brandon's cousin? Where is his name Hannibal? Where is Hannibal, y'all? I want Hannibal back. So then we go back to Kevin. He's out here playing video games. And Keisha comes into his room and is trying to talk some sense into him to be like, listen, when you go through something traumatic like that, you need to talk to somebody. You need to get it off your chest. And he's like, I'm not going to therapy. This boy has been yelling he ain't going to therapy since season 1. And he been needing it since day 1. So she's like, listen, I'm not saying that you have to go to therapy, but at least go talk to Jake. So this whole time, he has not even been concerned with Jake. It seems like he's so shooken up, he can't even get his own mind right. So next thing you know, there's a doorbell ring, and who is it? Tabitha Brown. So she comes in to basically tell Keisha that, listen, me and my husband, we ain't really together. He just tried to do me a solid and, pretend like we were together so that I can get this baby because I really want a child. But Keisha is like, well, I'm sorry to hear that, baby girl, but you won't be getting my baby because my baby will go to a 2-parent household. I'm like, all right, Keisha, you're going to end up keeping that baby. So Kevin ends up going to see Jake. And at first it was okay. It was a little slow, but once they start actually talking about what happened, next thing you know, they start bickering back and forth. And I'm just like, oh no, don't tell me I'm about to break up over this. And once Kevin was like, well, I'm about to leave then. So when he's about to leave, here comes Papa. And he's like, all right, the 3 Musketeers are back together. I'm like, oh Lord, here goes Papa trying to save the day like he always does. So after that, we got a quick scene of Jada and her little boyfriend or massage therapist, whatever they want to call him. He basically tells her that he's going to take her out. She's not going to be getting a massage, but she will be dessert. I'm like, oh, okay. We kind of could have pushed that scene to the next episode, but I guess we're setting up storylines. So lastly, we see Otis Perry going to see Tracy yet again. And they're over here painting some pole in the building that she's working out of. And honestly, I was just so confused because I guess this was supposed to be like some sensual moment between the two of them. But all I could think about is what was going on with Tracy's head. Like the front part was slick and then the back was doing its own thing. I was so confused by what was happening on the top of her head. I honestly have no idea what happened in this scene. The only thing that I can think about is that I feel like she asked him what is he going to do about the situation with Jake, and he said that he was going to handle it. I said, girl, didn't you tell Ronnie to go handle something? And you see that ended up with him killing somebody, and now he dead. All right, Otis, we see what's about to happen with you. Lastly, we saw Imani in the car, and she's like telling somebody, oh, he's on his way right now. And she's talking to Trig, and next thing you know, somebody is running, and Trig catches up to him and beats him up. I'm gonna assume it's the police officer, but I'm just like, and how did you identify that person that fast? Well, I guess with social media you can identify people very fast. Never mind. So that was pretty much the episode. I think it was a cool opening. We'll see what happens this season. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.